Welcome to the English 2602 mini lecture. I am Mrs. Phakathi, one of the lecturers for this module, and I'm going to be taking you through our remedial on assignment 1. This is in response to the mistakes that we identified during marking, and this section is the first of a few that will target areas that we identified as needing development. Here I shall be discussing 3 key points pertaining to what must be avoided in an analytical discussion: listing and defining broad statements, misinterpreting scaffolding questions. Let us look at this example. This candidate has basically listed names and words, then went on to define them. So far, the given instruction has not really been followed. There is no discussion of how these names reveal character. There is a mention of them being opposite to his life. However, there is no elaboration on how. If we were to revise the previous example with the nicknames as our focal point of analysis, we could have something like this. Note how the nicknames are identified. Then there is an elaboration that explains them with the effects these names have on the situation. In this response, the helpless character of a child is clearly portrayed. In this next example, the words quoted do not all have the same effects, and that is why I've put it under broad statements. A closer inspection will show that some of the identified words relate to the hair, specifically like vitality and shines, while others relate to the satisfaction one will get from using the products, like enjoy, feels good. But in this response, only one broad effect has been discussed. Let us see how the same response looks when modified. Just by grouping the connected words, we have a response that shows the 2 aspects we have just discussed. The first part relates to the hair, and the next relates to the customer satisfaction. Now moving on to the misinterpretation of scaffolding questions. Looking at this response, you will note that the scaffolding questions have been misinterpreted. The response above is more suitable for a comprehension exercise, while the lecturers are expecting an analytical response. Let's look at the why answer. The writer explains that global warming occurs because of men. That is what one would expect when comprehension is assessed. Now let us look, on the other hand, responses that targeted the how. The body of the article begins with, skeptics cite a clever bit of mathematical trickery. The word cite carries an academic connotation, along with the later words fact, prove, and predicted. This response tells us how the report is written, by analyzing diction, which is a language technique, and also analyzing style, noting the mention of how the article begins, as well as the discussion of the use of inverted commas on the word prove. Let us look at the second example. This one responds to why. The conjunction but introduces both the first refutation of the claims made by the skeptics and the first main counterclaim. It is clear that the aim of this article will be to persuade the reader that global warming is real and continuing in spite of skeptics' theories. The first part of this response is just to put the second part into perspective. Comparing these last 2 examples to the one on slide 7, it is clear that they fall on the analytical side, and this is what the lecturers intended when posing those questions in the news report question. That concludes the first part of our remedial exercise. Thank you.